Have you ever wondered what the biggest fish ever caught actually looked like? Today, we're going to look at some real big fish tales, and these anglers, unlike your sensational co-workers or senile relatives, have the pics and records to prove it. So get ready to be shocked and amazed by these majestic aquatic monstrosities. We've made sure to only take a look at fish that have been approved as IGFA all-tackle world records. As you might assume, and you're doing right by doing so, most of these giants come from the shark and billfish families. But there are some surprises sprinkled in that are sure to astound you. So stick around for the whole video, especially if you want to see the biggest swordfish you've ever seen in your life. Goliath grouper, 680 pounds. This bad boy was caught off the coast of Fernandina Beach, Florida back in 1961. Back in those days, Fernandina was well known for its Goliath groupers. Unfortunately, their population has dwindled since then, and in 1990, regulators made the decision to halt their harvest altogether. So it looks like this record isn't going to be beaten anytime soon. This monster was caught by a fisherman by the name of Lynn Joyner using a Spanish mackerel as the bait. Bull shark, 697 pounds, 12 ounces. This is a more recent catch than the last. Ronald DeYager caught this beast using a yellowfin tuna back in 2001 in Malindi, Kenya. When he took in his catch, he broke the previous record from 1994 by 12 ounces. Dusky shark, 764 pounds. In 1982, trolling a bonito just off Longboat Key, Florida, Warren Girl had one of the best fishing days of his life. And from the look of this photo with his catch, he sure seemed proud of himself, and rightfully so. Thresher shark, 767 pounds. Angler David Hanna had quite the day back in February of 1983 when he took his boat out near the Bay of Islands in New Zealand, only to catch one of the biggest fish of his career. To catch a thresher is not the easiest of feats either. It takes a decent bit of skill and strength to bring one in. Hanna used a kahawai salmon as bait, but it also took a great deal of patience and intuition on his part to grapple with his opponent. Threshers like to bash the hook and bait with their big muscular tails before moving in for their kills, so bringing in one this size is all the more extraordinary. Big-eye thresher shark, 802 pounds. If you thought David Hanna's thresher shark catch was impressive, then wait till you see what Diane North of Tutukaka, New Zealand caught a couple years prior in 1981. She too used a kahawai salmon as bait, and she wrestled with the creature for a grand total of 3 hours and 45 minutes before she finally brought it in. Can you imagine how exhausted she must have been? The fascinating thing is that David Hanna's catch in 83 and Diane's in 81 were only roughly 30 miles away from one another. Pacific bluefin tuna, 907 pounds, 6 ounces. Another epic catch from a kiwi took place on February 19, 2014 in Three Kings Islands, New Zealand. Donna Pascoe fought with the giant sea dweller for well over 4 hours, and to top that off, the weather was pretty troubling at the time as well. Can you imagine how many tuna steaks that thing could yield? It would feed a cat for 1,000 lifetimes. Swordfish, 1,182 pounds. Some records aren't meant to be broken, or at least they haven't quite been topped yet. Such is the case of Lou Marin's almost legendary catch back in 1953 in Iquique, Chile. It was some 67 years ago, but the record still stands today. Lou reeled in a 14-foot swordfish using a live bonito as bait that weighed a mind-boggling 1,182 pounds. Its bill alone was nearly 4 feet in length. Shortfin MAKO shark, 1,221 pounds. A younger angler by the name of Luke Sweeney caught this behemoth back in July of 2001 during the Oak Bluffs Monster Shark Tournament in Chatham, Massachusetts. Needless to say, Mr. Sweeney won the competition. He was on board the tiniest boat of the entire tournament, a 24-foot World Cat, when he took his prize. He wrestled with the shark for 3 hours before he managed to bring the half-ton heavyweight to the scales. Great hammerhead shark, 12,080 pounds. The lucky angler and charter captain Bucky Dennis had quite the fight on his hands when he hooked this 14.5-foot hammerhead off the coast of Boca Grande, Florida in 2006. He explained how he didn't normally go after shark and that snook and tarpon were more of his desired catch. But when the tarpon find their way to Boca Grande, then so do the hammerheads in search of an easy meal. He caught this giant creature using a stingray as bait, and he pointed out it pulled his vessel 12 miles into the Gulf during the fight. SIXGILL shark, 1,298 pounds. Caught in the British waters of Ascension Island by the angler Clemens Ramp, this rare shark put up quite the struggle. They aren't the kind of fish that most fishermen are used to seeing, even though they're found all around the world. This leviathan of a catch was reeled in on November 21, 2002. Pacific blue marlin, 1,376 pounds. On May 31, 1982, in beautiful Kona, Hawaii, at a place called Kauai Point, Jay DeBobian took in the biggest catch of his life. And to top that off, he managed to bring in this godlike sea monster in less than an hour. He used a live Kila lute as the bait, just in case you're keeping track of that kind of thing. He almost lost his record, too, when in 2015, another angler caught a blue marlin that weighed an equally amazing 1,368 pounds off the very same coastline. If you think that's impressive, you should wait to see the black marlin that was caught in 1953. Stick around, we'll get to that in a minute. But first, do us a quick favor and give this video a like if you're enjoying what you're seeing so far. Subscribe to our channel and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications so you can keep up with all our latest facts-packed videos. Atlantic blue marlin, 1,402 pounds, 2 ounces. This one was caught off the coast of Vitória, Brazil, back in February of 1992. Look how impressed that guy looks. He's grinning from ear to ear. His name is Paulo Amorim, and he caught this remarkably giant billfish trolling a mold craft lure. Atlantic bluefin tuna, 1,496 pounds. This is just about the biggest tuna we've ever seen. This fish is truly a sight to see. Ken Fraser caught this baby back in 1979, and since then his record has yet to be toppled. Much of that has to do with the fact that bluefins are much more tightly regulated these days due to overfishing and dwindling populations. Ken took this wonder of a fish in Odds Cove in Nova Scotia, Canada. Black marlin, 1,560 pounds. We kind of teased you about this one earlier. The late and great legendary angler Alfred C. Glassell Jr. nabbed this absolutely shocking catch back in 1953. It's a record that also still stands to this day, making it one of the longest-running IGFA world records on the books. It doesn't look like this record will be beat anytime soon either. Glassell, who was a prominent Houston area businessman and philanthropist, was also widely known for his love affair with large game fish. He wasn't just into catching them for sport, but he also supported their research and conservation. In his career, he caught several monstrously large fish. Today, this black marlin and over 40 other preserved specimens of fish that he caught are on display in the permanent collection of the Houston Museum of Natural Science. Greenland shark, 1,708 pounds, 9 ounces. Terje Nordtved caught this graceful being using a herring off the coast of Norway in 1987. This ended up being one of the only times in history people were able to see the longest living vertebrate creature up on dry land. These majestic creatures have a lifespan of longer than 400 years. It almost calls into question whether we should fish them in the first place. Tiger shark, 1,785 pounds, 11 ounces. This one comes from Ulladulla, Australia. Kevin Clapson was pretty annoyed when his giant catch was weighed back in 2004. He thought for sure he had just broken a record that had been held for 40 years. But since his tiger shark only weighed 11 ounces more than Walter Maxwell's previous record-setting catch from 1964, the judges at the IGFA ruled he had tied the record. White shark, 2,664 pounds. Alfred Dean broke every record in the book when he caught this giant great white in Ceduna, Australia. Fortunately, his record is definitely here to stay, and that's not a bad thing. Great whites are protected by conservation laws nearly everywhere in the world. That just means that more of these majestic, beautiful, and awe-inspiring creatures will be roaming the waters throughout the world for many years to come. Well, that wraps up our look at some of the biggest fish ever caught. Can you imagine hauling one of these astonishing organisms back to the scales? We'd love to hear from you. Which one of these catches do you find to be the most amazing? Was it Alfred Dean's 1959 great white, or maybe that giant black marlin from Peru? Let us know what you think in the comments section. And if you enjoyed watching this video, show us some support by giving us a like and subscribing to our channel if you haven't already. If you tap the bell icon, you can turn on notifications to keep up to date with all of our latest content. Be safe out there. We know you'd rather be fishing right now.